It's murky. You can look down there and see pretty
I
well.
could see it, yeah.
Actually, the visibility is better looking down.
It is.
There's the Marconi room, one of the windows, one of the skylights.
Let's see it.
At 12,500 feet below the surface, the Titanic rests a monument suspended in time, untouched by light for more than a century, for over 100 years. Nothing human has disturbed it, until now. Through that endless dark, a new visitor descended an advanced underwater drone. Its lights cut through the abyss, and the ship began to emerge from the void, massive, ghost-like, impossibly preserved. For the first time in generations, light reached the Titanic's forgotten halls. As the drone pushed deeper, something took shape in the gloom, faint, unmistakable, and on the surface. The crew froze, staring in disbelief. What it captured that day left even the most hardened explorers speechless, beautiful to some, deeply unsettling to others. But all agreed on one thing: whatever lay within that wreck was never meant to be seen again. How do you explore a place so deep, dark, and unforgiving that no human could ever survive there? The answer lies in a machine smaller than a car, the underwater drone. Far beneath the North Atlantic, around 3,800 meters down, where the Titanic rests in eternal silence. The pressure is more than 380 times what we feel at sea level. At that depth, steel would crumple, glass would shatter, and any human would be crushed instantly. Only technology precise, unflinching, and built to endure can survive the weight of the abyss. The drone that explores the wreck is no ordinary robot. Every inch of it is engineered for survival. Its frame is forged from titanium and high-strength alloys that resist bending or fracture, while its cameras sit behind domes of reinforced glass thick enough to withstand the crushing dark. Every joint, seal, and wire must be flawless. One imperfection, and the ocean will find its way in. Down there, it is night without end. No sunlight reaches the Titanic's resting place, so the drone must carry its own radiance-powerful LEDs that carve through the black, revealing railings, collapsed decks, and the ghostly outlines of forgotten cabins. But illumination here is fragile, too much, and stirred sediment turns the water to fog, erasing everything. The operators above must balance every beam like a breath, steady, careful, patient. Guided from the surface through a fiber optic tether, the drone glides between walls of twisted metal, weaving through corridors barely wider than its frame. Its thrusters let it hover, pivot, and drift with surgical precision, a slow, deliberate dance between rust and silence. Its cameras record in astonishing detail every flake of corrosion, every remnant of the past. Laser scanners trace the ship's interior, creating 3D maps that let researchers walk the wreck, virtually studying its decay without disturbing a single relic. You might wonder, why not just send divers? The answer lies in the brutal physics of the deep. At nearly 12,500 feet, no human could survive. The pressure would crush any suit within seconds, and the cold, absolute darkness makes orientation impossible. Submersibles can reach these depths, but they're bulky and blind to the narrow spaces where history hides. That's where the drone prevails: small, tireless, unafraid. It moves through the wreck like memory itself, a silent witness in a world no human will ever touch again. Thanks to the drone's precision and access, researchers are now seeing the Titanic as never before, not just as a shattered monument on the seafloor, but as a living map of history, still whispering its story through rust and silence. For the first time, cameras have ventured into parts of the wreck that no human or submersible could ever reach. The Titanic isn't a single, intact vessel resting neatly on the ocean floor. It's a broken labyrinth. Over decades, sections have shifted, collapsed, and buried one another beneath layers of sediment. Some corridors were so tight and unstable that earlier missions never dared to enter. Now, with the drone's small frame and surgical movement, researchers have seen rooms untouched since the night of April 14th. 1912 spaces frozen mid-fall, as if time itself stopped the moment the lights went out. These discoveries are transforming our understanding of the disaster. High-resolution 3D maps created from the drone's footage are updating century-old blueprints, showing not what the Titanic was, but what it has become. Some sections once thought intact have disintegrated completely, while others, unexpectedly, still hold their shape. The wreck is rewriting its own history. What the cameras revealed inside is both haunting and intimate. Suitcases, glassware, dining utensils, furniture, everyday items suspended in the dark, undisturbed for over a century. A cracked bottle still sealed with its cork. A shoe beside what might once have been a bed. They are silent remnants of ordinary lives interrupted. The environment itself has played a strange role in preserving this ghostly museum. The near-freezing temperatures and lack of oxygen slow decay, keeping wood, leather, and fabric partially intact. In one corridor, draped cloth still hangs, as though waiting for a breeze that will never come. But the same forces that preserved the wreck are also consuming it. Each year, bacteria and ocean currents carve deeper into the structure. The drone's 3D scans now serve as both scientific record and memorial, a way to capture what's left before it's gone forever. What began as a mission of exploration has become an act of preservation. The Titanic is no longer just a tragedy from the past. It is an evolving graveyard one that reminds us how, even in silence, history continues to move. When we think about exploring the Titanic, it's easy to focus on the technology, the data, and the thrill of discovery. But beneath all that, there's a deeper truth. The Titanic is not just a wreck. It's a graveyard. More than 1,500 people died that night in 1912, and many remain entombed within the ship itself. Every expedition carries that weight for those who descend to its depths. The Titanic isn't merely an archaeological site, it's a place of remembrance. Before the drone entered the ship's interior, the team spent hours confronting the ethics of what they were about to do. How much should they disturb? What images should they share with the public? How do you balance the pursuit of knowledge with respect for the dead? One debate centered on a single frame of footage, a human-shaped form lying beneath debris in one of the cabins. Should such an image ever be shown, some argued it would turn tragedy into spectacle. Others believed it revealed something essential, a reminder of the human lives behind the legend. In the end, they reached a quiet compromise: release only still images and selected clips, always with context, always with care. It became a model for how modern exploration might honor the past without exploiting it. And yet, every movement down there carries risk. The Titanic's structure, fragile after more than a century, can be damaged by a single touch or the faintest current. Even the drone's precision can't erase the fear of doing harm. Each dive is a balance between curiosity and caution, a scientific mission shadowed by reverence. When we think about the wreck, we rarely consider its emotional gravity. For families of the victims, seeing these images is both comfort and pain, a fragile connection to ancestors long lost. For the public, it raises uncomfortable questions: at what point does exploration become intrusion? The Titanic endures not just as history, but as a reflection of human ambition, loss, and the limits of progress. Every expedition, every image, reshapes how we remember. And as the drones dive deeper, one question lingers in the cold silence below. How long can memory survive before the ocean takes it back? For more than a century, the story of the Titanic has been told and retold through books, films, and endless reconstructions of that fateful night. We thought we knew it all: the ship, the iceberg, the tragedy. But the new footage captured by the underwater drone is challenging some of those long-held assumptions and revealing how much of the story remains buried beneath the waves. Historians once relied on survivor accounts and original blueprints to imagine what the wreck must look like. Now, for the first time, they can see it directly in detail no human eye has ever witnessed. The drone's cameras show that the ship's interior is far more complex than previously believed. Some of the Titanic's grand rooms, once thought to have been completely destroyed, still stand in fragments of eerie symmetry. Others, smaller, humbler spaces, have collapsed into twisted metal and sediment. The pattern of destruction itself is rewriting our understanding of how the ship broke apart as it sank. The footage suggests the breakup wasn't as straightforward as the classic accounts describe. Certain sections of the hull appear to have resisted the pressure longer than others, altering how the ship fractured on its descent. These findings are prompting engineers to revisit long-held models of the disastrous slow, mechanical unraveling now replaced by a more chaotic, asymmetrical collapse. But it's not just the structure that's telling new stories. The objects scattered throughout the wreck: luggage, cutlery, personal effects reveal the small, human traces left in the chaos. A pile of suitcases in a corridor hints at passengers rushing to save their belongings. A still-sealed bottle resting in what was once a dining area speaks to an interrupted life, a moment frozen between order and panic. The footage also shines light on overlooked corners of the ship: the crew's quarters, storage rooms, engineering spaces, reminding us that this tragedy was not only about the elite passengers' history immortalized, but also the workers who kept the ship alive. Yet every discovery carries urgency. The wreck is dissolving, inch by inch, as salt and bacteria erase its form. The new data isn't just rewriting history, it's preserving what little time has left to be studied. And as each drone descends deeper into the ruins, one truth becomes clear: the Titanic is still speaking. We're only beginning to decode what it's trying to say. The latest drone expedition inside the Titanic has not only revealed what lies within, it's also opened the door to what lies ahead, with technology evolving faster than ever, and our understanding of the wreck deepening with every dive. The future of Titanic exploration promises to be both thrilling and complex. The next frontier is precision. The wreck is fragile, shifting, and slowly collapsing under its own decay. Future missions will focus on mapping and monitoring every inch of it in greater detail. New generations of underwater drones, smaller, smarter, more resilient, could navigate the narrowest corridors without disturbing the wreck. Advances in imaging, from ultra-high-resolution cameras to sonar and virtual reality reconstructions, will allow scientists and the public to experience the Titanic in ways once thought impossible, not as a ruin, but as a living 3D record of history. But exploration alone is no longer enough. The question now is preservation. The Titanic is fading, its steel dissolving, its wooden decks consumed by rust-eating bacteria. Researchers are exploring ways to slow that loss, from protective coatings that resist corrosion to experimental techniques that could stabilize the wreck without altering its environment. Some envision underwater museums or transparent domes that could shelter the most endangered sections. Preserving the site as both a memorial and scientific archive. Collaboration will be essential. The Titanic lies in international waters, beyond the jurisdiction of any one nation. Its care belongs to everyone and no one. Future expeditions will likely unite governments, research institutes, and descendants of those who perished, working together to balance curiosity with respect, discovery with dignity. Yet even as technology advances, one question will remain: where is the line between exploration and intrusion? Who decides what should be studied, preserved, or left untouched as public fascination grows? So too does the responsibility to ensure that innovation never overshadows remembrance. In the end, the story of the Titanic is still unfolding. To understand the impact of the new drone footage, we have to return to where it all began. The story of the Titanic has gripped humanity for more than a century, a tale of ambition, innovation, and devastating loss. When the ship set sail on April 10, 1912, it was the largest and most luxurious vessel ever built, celebrated as unsinkable. It was a symbol of progress, a floating city of elegance and confidence in human ingenuity. But 4 nights later, that confidence shattered. At 11:40 p.m. on April 14th, the Titanic struck an iceberg. The collision opened her hull, flooding multiple compartments within hours. She was gone, and with her, more than 1,500 lives. For 73 years, the wreck lay hidden beneath 12,000 feet of water, its secrets sealed by pressure and darkness. Then, in 1985, Robert Ballard's expedition found her resting place. The discovery rekindled fascination worldwide, transforming the legend into something real, a relic of both pride and loss. Now, over a century later, technology has carried us deeper than ever before. The latest mission sent a drone no larger than a suitcase inside the ship itself, through corridors once alive with music and conversation. Its lights swept over collapsed beams and silent rooms, revealing scenes untouched since 1912. Chandeliers lie shattered. Furniture is buried beneath silt. A single shoe rests beside a doorway, like an unfinished sentence. There are no ghosts here, only memory. The Titanic's halls stand hollow, rusticles dripping like candle wax, the metal dissolving grain by grain. The footage is haunting not because of what moves, but because of what doesn't. Everything remains suspended, a frozen instant of human history, held in the stillness of the deep. The images also serve as a warning. Scientists predict the Titanic could disappear within decades, consumed by bacteria and corrosion. Each dive becomes a race against time, a last chance to map, document, and understand before the ocean finishes what it began. Yet the mission raises uneasy questions. How far should we go in pursuit of knowledge? When does exploration cross into intrusion? For many, the Titanic is not merely a wreck, but a grave. Every object belonged to someone: a parent, a child, a worker chasing a dream. To enter this place is to step into a story of mourning as much as discovery. Still, without exploration, memory fades. The drone's quiet passage through the wreck is an act of witnessing a way to preserve what human hands can no longer touch. Its camera does not disturb. It observes, translating silence into understanding. Each artifact tells its own truth: a clock stopped at 2:17 a.m., a sealed bottle of wine, a folded coat, a child's toy. These fragments strip away the myth and return us to the people, their hopes, their fear, their unfinished journeys. The footage's eerie beauty lies in this tension. It is both scientific data and elegy. The Titanic, once a symbol of invincibility, now rests as a monument to humility. Every rivet corroding in the dark is a reminder of how thin the line is between mastery and surrender. Watching the drone drift through the wreck feels like entering a cathedral of metal and silence. Its beams cut through the gloom, not to glorify, but to reveal. What we see is not failure, it's truth, stripped of spectacle. The Titanic reminds us that progress and peril often sail together. And now, as technology peers further into the abyss, new questions rise to the surface. How long should we keep exploring before we let the ocean claim what's left? Should the Titanic remain untouched, a grave preserved in silence? Or should it continue to teach us through discovery? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you believe the wreck should be left to rest? Or do you think exploring it honors those who are lost by keeping their story alive? Share your perspective below, because even after 112 years, the Titanic still connects us, still challenges us, and still reminds us that some stories never sink,